Can you overplan round one? Can you drive yourself mad? Can you end up driving your players mad in the lead up to the first one, given it's been so long since you've all been able to do it together?
Oh, you definitely can. I think you can overthink it. I mean, the reality is there's 4 points on offer. There's also 4 points on offer in round two. So, you know, even the players, I think, really build themselves up for round one. And, you know, there are players who are the regulars in the team who are looking forward to it. There are those who are fighting for a spot in the team. And round one always seems to hold more significance, you know, for the players who are trying to emerge. You know, but I think that in reality, you know, you've got to, as a coach, try and calm your players down round one. It's a little bit like going to finals, I think. You know, it's the team that stays the most composed that generally comes out on top. So there's always that excitement. It's hard to replicate that sort of pressure in the pre-season. And, you know, we choose not to play intra-club games in the pre-season for the reason that we don't think the reward's worth the risk. You know, and the NAB Challenge this year I thought was a great format. We had 3 games well spaced apart where we could get a lot of game time into our players. So we enter round one as well prepared as we could be. It's a different sort of spent. I mean, I still remember I quite enjoyed the feeling of just being absolutely exhausted on field playing. And I'm exhausted post-game, but in a different sort of way. It's mentally draining. I mean, I think the issue with the 2 hours on game day is it's the culmination of a hell of a lot of work that comes into that moment. And, you know, I think that, in a sense, a lot of coaches, certainly me included, are control freaks to a certain extent. And there's that element of handing over on game day and knowing that there are things that you can't control. And that's probably what frustrates you the most. It certainly frustrates me the most. But I think what I've been pleasantly surprised with my coaching is that in the coach's box I can be quite animated, quite emotional at times, but to this point in time, 5, 6 years in as a senior coach, that never transfers to the players by the time I get down to them at quarter time or at half time. Now, that just might be my inexperience talking, and as I get older and grumpier it might change, I'm not sure, but what you see in the coach's box is very different to what I'm like with the players face to face. It's a real challenge to get to that point. You know, it really is, and probably the guys that sit around the table here today have done an outstanding job with their football clubs as the leader of that culture. And I think that ultimately everyone would like their players to drive the culture of the organisation, because they're the guys out there on game day getting it done. But there's an enormous process to actually get to that point. 2010, when I started at North Melbourne, we had probably the second or third youngest team in the competition who needed to be led to a certain extent, needed to be educated. And it's taken a long process to get the players to take control of their own destiny and really be upskilled with the tools to be able to get that done. And it's an enormous responsibility as a coach when you're taking in 18-year-old boys into a full-time environment. And you do feel, or I certainly do, feel like a father figure in a lot of ways to a lot of these kids, and it's an enormous responsibility. And still by far the biggest challenge of my job is doing that for 45 players and to a certain extent, you know, 30 to 40 staff as well.
So you were the victor on semi-final night. It coincided with a birth in the family, and presumably Uncle Chris came to the hospital at some point. Is it weird? As the victor, how did you handle it?
I would like to think with humility. We've been humbled by the Cats on many an occasion. We certainly have the utmost respect for them as a football club, and you know, I admire from a distance what Chris has been able to do at Geelong, and you know, I admire what all senior coaches have been able to do. They're fascinating people. We had the Coaches Association meeting last week, and it was just, you know, fantastic experience to talk to other coaches, and I really enjoy that because they are quality people and very, very good at what they do. But ultimately, you know, I think you look at my reaction after we won that final against Geelong. Mostly, it's satisfaction for the players. I mean, mostly my emotion is just satisfaction and joy for them. You know, I really feel that, you know, as a you know, one out here amongst 3 premiership coaches. And so maybe they can answer the question, but I certainly feel that if and when I'm fortunate enough to coach a premiership, it won't be the same as playing in one. And the joy from coaching a premiership, I hope, will be, for the players who are experiencing it out there. So I don't feel like I'm coaching against Chris or Clarko or Horse. I think it's, you're coaching against the club.